For decades, we were invited into their world, a world built on family, hard work, and tradition. Roloff Farms wasn't just a place, it was the heart of the Roloff family. Every season had its ritual. The joyous chaos of pumpkin season, the warmth of a crowded kitchen at Christmas, the shared history etched into every corner of that farmhouse. These weren't just scenes for a television show, they were the pillars of a family's identity. When Amy Roloff married Chris Marek, we were told it was the beginning of a beautiful new chapter, a fresh start, a life away from the complications and the memories of the farm. But what if that fresh start wasn't about building something new? What if it was about systematically destroying the old? We have been contacted by sources deep inside the Roloff circle, individuals who are growing increasingly alarmed by what they are witnessing behind closed doors. They describe a pattern of behavior from Chris Marek that is not just unsettling, but actively hostile towards the Roloff family legacy. They claim Chris is on a quiet but relentless mission to isolate Amy, to erase Matt Roloff from her past, and to sever the sacred ties of tradition that bind her to her children. Tonight, we expose the truth that the show will never air. We have access to the contents of text messages sent in desperation by Amy herself. Messages that reveal the heartbreaking reality of her new marriage. The fairy tale is a facade, and behind it, a battle is raging for the soul of the Roloff family. If you believe that the Roloff family's history is precious and that no one has the right to erase it, take a second right now to hit that like button. It's a small click for you, but it tells the YouTube algorithm that this story matters and needs to be seen by every LPBW fan. And if you aren't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Because what we are about to reveal is the beginning of a story that will change how you see this family forever. All right, let's start from the beginning because this wasn't a sudden hostile takeover. According to our sources, it was a slow, calculated campaign. At first, Chris's actions seemed almost understandable, a new husband wanting to forge his own path with his wife. When Amy would tell a fond story about raising the kids on the farm, a story that inevitably included Matt, Chris would get quiet. He'd change the subject. Or he'd make a subtle, passive-aggressive comment like, "That's the past, honey. Let's talk about our future." An insider close to Amy told us, and I quote, "In the beginning, everyone brushed it off as insecurity. It's natural, right? To feel a little weird about your wife's ex-husband being such a huge part of her life story. But then the subtle suggestions became demands. The insecurity started to look a lot more like control." The first major red flag, according to our source, was an incident involving the family photo albums. Amy has boxes of them, a lifetime of memories. She was reportedly showing them to Jackson one afternoon, pointing out pictures of his dad, Zach, as a little boy playing in the dirt at the farm. It was a beautiful, tender grandmother-grandson moment. Chris walked in. He saw the old photos spread across the table, Amy and Matt young and married with their 4 children. His entire demeanor changed. He didn't yell. He did something far more chilling. He put on a fake tight smile and said, "Amy, don't you think it's time we put these away? We're trying to build a new life here. It can't be healthy to be constantly surrounded by ghosts." Ghosts. He called her memories, her history with her own children, ghosts. He was framing her past as a sickness, something that needed to be packed away and hidden in an attic. Amy was stunned into silence. She was being made to feel ashamed of her own life story in her own home. This incident was the turning point. After this, Chris allegedly became more brazen. His target became the one thing that truly defines the Roloffs, their traditions. And he started with the biggest one of all, pumpkin season. For 30 years, Amy was the face of pumpkin season alongside Matt. She greeted guests, she signed autographs, she was the matriarch of the farm. It was her legacy. When the first season approached after she married Chris, she was naturally excited to participate. But Chris began to plant seeds of doubt. He would say things like, "Honey, do you really want to go stand in a cold, muddy field all day? That's Matt's world now. You sold your half. You're free from that. We could take a trip to the coast instead. Just the two of us." Do you see what he was doing? He was setting a trap. He was forcing her to make a choice. A weekend trip with him, her new husband, or a weekend at the farm with them, her family, and her legacy. He was creating a loyalty test that she could not possibly pass without betraying someone. Amy, trying to be a good wife, tried to compromise. She'd spend less time at the farm. But even that wasn't good enough for Chris. The tension built until it finally broke. And this is where we come to the leaked text message. Feeling isolated and deeply conflicted, Amy reached out to one of her children. Our source has confirmed the contents of a devastating text she sent, a cry for help that reveals the true nature of her situation. Text bubble Amy. "I don't know what to do. Chris is getting so upset every time I mention going to the farm for pumpkin season. He says I'm choosing Matt's world over our life together. He just banned me from even talking about it. He said the word Roloff Farms is not to be mentioned in this house. I feel like he's trying to cut me off from you all, and it's breaking my heart. He banned the words Roloff Farms." He didn't just disagree. He didn't just express his feelings. He issued a command, a ban. This is where the mask of the charming, easygoing Chris Marek completely falls away, revealing something much darker underneath. This is the behavior of a man who doesn't want a partner. He wants a possession. The response from her child was swift and furious, confirming that the kids see exactly what is happening. Reply text bubble. "Mom, that is not okay. He has no right. That's your legacy. Your name is on it. He is controlling you, and you need to see that. We are not going to let him do this." This is the secret war being waged in Amy Roloff's home. A war of psychological control. A war on memory. A war on family. Our insider used a word to describe Chris that was shocking, but based on this evidence, frighteningly accurate. They said that in moments of intense frustration, Amy herself has referred to Chris as a controlling tyrant. She feels she has traded one cage for another. She fought for years to gain her independence from Matt's powerful personality, only to find herself under the thumb of a new man who wants to own not just her present, but her past as well. And if you think this is just about pumpkin season, you are mistaken. This was just the first battle. What Chris is targeting next is even more sacred. He has his sights set on the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the traditions that are woven into the very fabric of this family. The leaked text message was just the beginning. It set off a chain reaction within the family that led to a direct, explosive confrontation between Chris and one of the Roloff sons. A confrontation that we're told almost became physical. In part 2 of this exclusive report, we will detail that explosive confrontation. We will reveal which of the Roloff sons stood up to Chris face to face and the shocking words that were exchanged. We will expose Chris's next move in his campaign to erase the Roloff name, and we will reveal the drastic plan the Roloff children are now secretly making to save their mother. Stay tuned to LPBW Update. The war for Amy's heart has begun. Welcome back to LPBW Update. In part 1, we pull back the curtain on the disturbing reality of Amy Roloff's new marriage. We revealed Chris Marek's chilling campaign to systematically erase Matt Roloff and the entire Roloff legacy from Amy's life. This isn't just insecurity, it's a calculated war on tradition. We showed you the leaked text message where Amy herself confessed that Chris has banned any mention of Roloff Farms in their home, leaving her heartbroken and isolated. We left off as the children learned the shocking truth, setting the stage for a confrontation that the show would never dare to air. The secret is out, and the family is about to explode. The text message was a lit fuse. It confirmed the children's worst fears, that Chris's charm was a mask for something deeply controlling. According to our insider, Zach was the first to take action. He didn't just text back, he drove straight to his mother's house. He wasn't going there to talk to Amy, he was going there to confront Chris. Picture the scene. Zach arrives unannounced. He walks right in, his face set like stone. Chris is in the living room, relaxing, completely unaware that his private war on the Roloff family is about to become a public battle. Zach didn't waste time with pleasantries. Our source, who was told about this encounter by a family member just hours after it happened, described the opening volley. Zach allegedly stood in the middle of the room and said, "We need to talk, you and me. What is this I hear about you telling my mom she can't talk about the farm?" Chris was reportedly blindsided. He tried to play it cool, to act like it was all a simple misunderstanding. He allegedly said something like, "Whoa, buddy, slow down. This is between me and Amy. It's a private marital issue." That was the absolute worst thing he could have said. Zach, fiercely protective of his mother, took a step closer. His voice, we're told, was low and trembling with rage. He replied with words that shook the foundation of the house. "It stopped being a marital issue when you started trying to cut my mom off from her own kids and her own history. That farm is as much a part of her as it is of me. You have no right, zero right, to tell her what she can and cannot talk about in her own home. You think you can just walk in here, marry her, and erase the 30 years of life that came before you? That's not how this works." This was a direct challenge to Chris's authority, a son standing up to his stepfather, defending his mother's identity. But Chris didn't back down. He doubled down. He reportedly stood up, puffing out his chest, trying to assert his dominance. He told Zach that he was interfering and that Amy needed to move on from the past for the sake of their new life. He then made his biggest mistake. He said, and I quote our source directly, "Maybe if you all weren't constantly dragging her back into the past with Matt, she could finally be happy with me." He blamed the children. He blamed their love for their own family history. In that moment, he framed the Roloff kids not as Amy's children, but as obstacles to his happiness. That's when it almost got physical. Zach allegedly pointed a finger in Chris's face and said, "Don't you ever put this on us. You are the problem here. This is about your insecurity and your control. Stay away from our family traditions. You hear me? Pumpkin season, Christmas, all of it. You are not going to ruin it for her." Amy, who had been listening from the kitchen, ran in to get between them, pleading with them to stop. The confrontation ended with Zach storming out, but a line had been crossed. The battle lines were drawn. Chris was no longer just Amy's charming husband. He was the enemy. Did Chris learn his lesson? Did he back down after being confronted so forcefully? No. He did the opposite. He escalated. Feeling his control over Amy slipping, he went after the one tradition that is the absolute core of the Roloff family, Christmas at the farm. For years, the Christmas celebration has been a sacred event, often held at the old farmhouse. It's a time for all the kids and grandkids to come together. Chris knew this, and he decided to use it as his ultimate weapon. According to our insider, just weeks after the confrontation with Zach, Chris announced to Amy that he had a surprise for her. He had booked a non-refundable 2-week luxury cruise that departed on December 20th. It was a trip that would make it physically impossible for Amy to be with her family for Christmas. This wasn't a surprise. It was an ultimatum. It was a power move designed to force her to make the final choice. Him or her family. The new life or the old one. There was no middle ground. He presented it as a romantic, once-in-a-lifetime getaway, but Amy and the kids saw it for what it was, a beautifully packaged prison sentence, a deliberate and malicious act of sabotage. This is the point where the story takes a turn that even we found shocking. The The Roloff children are done playing defense. They are done reacting to Chris's attacks. They are now formulating a plan to go on offense. Our source tells us that Zach, Jeremy, and even Audrey and Tori are now in constant communication. They are planning what they are calling a tradition intervention. It's not about attacking Chris anymore. It's about saving their mom. Their plan, we are told, has two parts. Part one, they are secretly organizing an early Christmas celebration without telling Chris. They plan to get Amy to the farm under a false pretense, and when she arrives, the entire family will be there. All the kids, all the grandkids, with the farmhouse decorated, presents under the tree, and her favorite holiday foods on the table. They want to physically immerse her in the love and history that Chris is trying to make her forget. They want to remind her in the most powerful way possible what she stands to lose. Part two of the plan is far more drastic. If the early Christmas doesn't work, if Amy still feels pressured to go on that cruise, the kids are prepared to take their fight public. Not on the show, which they feel is controlled by the network to protect Chris's image, but on social media. Think about it. Imagine a coordinated post from Zach, Jeremy, Tori, and Audrey, all saying something like, "We're so sad our mom has been forced to choose between her new husband and spending Christmas with her grandchildren." The public outcry would be deafening. It would be a public relations nightmare for Chris Marek. It's their nuclear option, a final, desperate move to expose his controlling behavior to the world and force his hand. So this is where we stand. Amy Roloff is a pawn in a heartbreaking emotional chess game. Her husband is trying to checkmate her into a life of isolation, while her children are planning a desperate counter-move to break her free. Will their plan work? Will Amy show up to the early Christmas, or will Chris manage to stop it? And if it comes to it, will the Roloff children actually pull the trigger on their social media bomb and expose this family crisis to millions of fans? The soul of the Roloff family hangs in the balance. This is no longer just a television show. This is a real-life battle for a mother's heart, and the outcome is anything but certain.